Okay, everybody, this is a new thing. We're trying out something new with the camera here. We're going to try and do an HD video. It may be good, maybe bad. We're just testing out, see how it goes. So, just want to do an update. It is Sunday. I like to do my updates on Sunday. Usually I do them on Sunday and Wednesday. But this weekend, finished up some models here. And I finished some. That was the last of the Demon starter and the last of the Saracen starter. So got the Muslims and Demons done. And got about halfway through of the Lost starter. And so we'll be taking a look at those. First off, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a segue because I've got the focus set at a certain point right now, and so if I zoomed it in, it would just look horrible. So let's take a look at some models. Be right back. So first off, we have the last of the Saracens model. This is just a foot soldier that I did, just using the standard technique that you guys have seen a bunch of different times. Just really basic tabletop quality. This arm and this sword didn't come with that box set. It was a mispack, so I had to green stuff an arm here, and you can really tell it because I do a piss poor job at green stuffing. So I don't know if I'll use this model very much. I'll maybe use him for demos if I run out of stuff. Yeah, that's the arm right there. Just did the standard paint job on him. You know, good tabletop quality. Nothing too fancy. Didn't do crazy highlights. Shield, you know how I've done that. We've went over it in other videos. I did some, put some red wash on that to give it sort of a blood stain as well as a sword. And then we'll go to the next step, finishing up the demons. Be right back. So this is the other demon of laziness. I did it very similar to the other one, except instead of going green, I did brown on that one. Still has the pock marks on its ass, and instead of a sword, this one has like a flail. So pretty basic. Did the gray, did the brown wash instead of green this time. Did the knees in flesh, went over it with a red wash. Pretty good job overall. Like I said, tabletop playabilities. That's what I go for. So that's for that. And then finally, we'll go into the fun stuff. Be right back. Okay, let's try this next part. Before we go into the next miniatures, I'm going to just show you real quick the premise of what we're doing. A lot of these next miniatures I've really done with an airbrush for the base coats, and it's using a technique, see if I can write sideways, called Zenithal Highlighting. Zenithal Highlighting. If you want to look that up on the internet, I've done a real basic diagram here. So this is going to be representative of your miniature. I know I should have done this over the other shoulder, but oh well. And so the theory about this would be like, if you had your miniature, you're going to do a bunch of just simple base coats and highlight layers using an airbrush to maximize the way natural light would fall on a miniature. So, for example, all this, like you would do all this in gray, and you'll see a miniature I did in Codex Gray, and then I did some drop-down highlights in white. Using, for example, your brain would say this is a light source, and the light would come down like so. And so how would the natural highlights fall on the miniature? And by doing so, by taking your airbrush and visualizing a small halo above the miniature to where your airbrush is going to be sprayed from, you spray in from this angle and this angle and straight down, you're going to get like more of a natural looking highlight layer. You can also, if you want to do like really custom specific stuff, you can go ahead and omit that and make more light coming from over here, or vice versa. That's all covered in this topic of zenithal highlighting. It's been around for a few hundred years. So you're going to see more miniatures do that. And when you've done it successfully, so say we're going to do another little diagram over here. You're going to look at the top down of your miniature. And just, for example, this would be your head of the miniature. So the top of the head would get a lot of light. The chest and the shoulders would get a lot of light. And then actually like a lot of the base. So if you had like a lizard man that had a tail coming out, his tail, the top of the tail would get back. You know, so everything under here, like Like in this example, like, you know, between his legs is not going to get the highlights. You know, if he's got like a knee pad, unless it's sticking out, it's not going to get a lot of highlights because you're doing natural light shining down on it. And so just remember that for the future. You look that up. Remember the little halo, the light sources, and that's sort of the theory behind zenithal highlighting. Is because of the zenith is the term used for the pinnacle of the light source. Is its zenith, hence the light bulb, the television, you know, zenith is the pinnacle of light, and it's just based off that, zenithal highlighting. So that's all of just our little theory. So look, it's a wiener. But anyway, I'll get back to the miniatures, but just wanted to point that out to you. Be right back. So model number 1 that we're going to be looking at, this is the leader of the Demons box set. Her name is Alaya or Sire. It starts with an A. I can't remember it without looking at the card. And this is done doing that technique. A lot of thanks go out to Girl Painting, who helped me with a lot of the color theory on this. And she does an excellent series on color theory, non-metallic metals, stuff like that. So go check her out if you want in more of that quote-unquote theory craft and color theory. That would really help you out. So as you can see, in the shadows here, you're going to see more of like a Codex gray color that I went ahead and highlighted, started stepping up and doing from the angles in the top. I started stepping up the Codex gray with white. So I did like 1 Codex gray, 1 white, then went 2 white to 1 Codex gray, doing several layers and going and hitting it up, and eventually it gave the white, as you can see all around. All the layers that would naturally get hit by sunshine and be a lighter color would get the natural highlights without having to go in, and you're not flarfing stuff up with brush strokes or accidentally missing a spot. Just the natural fall of the paint. And you can do this with aerosol paints, as we saw when this is a more advanced version of that video I did earlier with the Chaos Marines using Army Spray Primer. It's just a more advanced version of that. And then after that, I went ahead, I did the skin tones, and that was done with a dwarf flesh mixed with a snakebite leather as a base, and then I started stepping it up with a skull white to get it more and more highlights. I went ahead and did the hair in a brown. I think that's snakebite leather mixed with something else. I didn't do a lot of highlights because I wanted to leave it more natural. I should have in the retrospect, but oh well. It's still very playable. I think it's a very nice looking miniature. Maybe it took me an hour to do this, and that's being generous. It's really a fast process when you get yourself like a basic airbrush or some aerosol cans to get this out. I'd really recommend it. So let's take an. Okay, I'm going to do this real quick. This is another one. Did the olive green base coat. Went up to an Escorpina green in Vallejo color, straight down from the top to give it a highlight. This is the Lost. This is their little demon dog. And as you can see, it does some neat little highlighting effect. Very simple paint job. Did some object source sliding on the lava base, so it makes a very playable miniature. I think it looks pretty cool. Back with another one. This is one of the hunters from the Lost. This is a demon that rejected the whole Satanism idea, gone striking out on its own. As you can see, he shed his little demon hide there, and he's going out and he's letting out his true form, I guess, which is a lizard. Another zenithal highlighting on the green, then went over it and with the brown skin tones, and that was basically foundation skin tone tolerant flesh washed down. Then I went back over it with some dwarf flesh highlights up here on the top where all the highlights are naturally, so it just makes the upper body pop. You know many times how I do the weapons here, the black metallic steel, and then the washes to give them that worn out look, and also lava base on that one. Really nice looking miniature, very playable for a tabletop standard. I think it looks really cool. Maybe it took me about 45 minutes to do that one, and I'll be back with our last miniature. Okay, finally I want to show you this model. This model is the big boy out of the box set. He's the leader. He's also a work in progress. I wanted to show you this because he's a prime example of what the zenithal highlighting techniques I've been using is. Note here, he's brighter here on the back, all the way down through here, so it's going to pull out those heads, and it's also going to pull out those weapons. So just the brightness of it is going to draw the eye to it, because the eye's drawn to brightness, and also the head here and this weapon, which you are going to naturally paint more than you are going to do the undersides, because nobody's really going to look at it. Nobody picks up your miniature in the middle of the game and looks at his crotch or his gut or something like that, unless you're some sort of freak. And but anyway, just a prime example of how this is dark. Even with the alt lights here, you can see where the shadows fall here, and no matter in what situation that I've painted this dark, so that's naturally going to be shadowed out. So regardless of whether he's under alt lights or whether he's on the gaming table, it's going to look relatively the same. So that is just a prime example of how that works. I find that it works best for stuff like demons, lizards, stuff that's going to have a lot of flesh tone. You're going to find the best stuff like IG, Eldar, like medieval, like a lot of armored warriors. You're not going to find this effect very good for. It's really a very comic-y style rather than a very realistic style. You're going to find very drastic color tone changes here. But I hope you guys like this. I know this is like a long video. If you're still here, thank you. As always, thank you for subscribing. Thank you for watching. Thanks for all the positive comments so far. I hope you enjoyed it, and talk to you soon.